Hello all, welcome to part 24 of the Wireless LAN Security Mega Primer. So finally, we've come to the place where we'll actually be cracking WPA. So in this video, we will look at WPA PSK cracking. So before we begin, let's do a quick kind of recap on what we learned in the last video. So basically, whenever we have the four-way WPA handshake, the pre-shared key, which is also kind of in this case for PSK, also the PMK or the pairwise master key, is present both at the supplicant, which is the client, as well as at the authenticator, which in this case is the access point. Now after that, they have these four message exchanges in which message 1 consists of a lot of things, most importantly for us the authenticator nonce. Message 2 consists of the supplicant nonce along with the MIC of that particular packet, and then if the MIC is correct and matches with what the authenticator derives, message 3 is actually a key installation request from the authenticator to the supplicant, and finally message 4 is a kind of confirmation, right? So here is what a hacker is going to do. He is going to eavesdrop on this transaction. What I mean by that is, well, a hacker is just going to put his machine, his card into monitor mode, and he will be able to get all of these four handshake packets, right? Just as we saw in the previous video. Now, with that assumption in hand, let's try and understand exactly how WPA PSK is functioning, right? So as we saw previously, once again, you have some individual entering a passphrase, and that passphrase, along with of course the SSID for the given access point, is actually an input to a password based key generation function, which we call the PBKDF2, and the output of that is a 256-bit pre-shared key, also which is the PMK or the pairwise master key. Now after either the client or the access point derive this specific key from the passphrase, then the four-way handshake happens where each of them gets the S nonce, A nonce, and the AP MAC address as well as the client MAC address. Using that, they go ahead and derive the PTK or the pairwise transient key, which is the key for the given session, right? So now with this whole thing in mind, let's try and understand what a hacker has. So the hacker, because he has eavesdropped on the four-way handshake, has knowledge of all these four parameters. Yes or no? Absolutely yes. Does he know the passphrase? No, he does not, right? So the only unknown is the passphrase. If he is able to guess the passphrase, everything else will fall into picture. So now let's understand how WPA PSK cracking works. So because the hacker does not know the correct passphrase, what he's going to try and do is to use a dictionary based attack, right? In which he takes a dictionary of common words and phrases which people use as passphrases for WPA PSK or otherwise, and then he'll pick up one passphrase at a time and run it through the same to the same function with the SSID of the access point he's attacking. The output of that is a pre-shared key, which may or may not be the correct pre-shared key or the PMK, right? So note that all he's doing right now is guessing that, okay, probably this is the passphrase. Let me go ahead and calculate the PMK or the PSK with that. And then because he has already eavesdropped on the four-way handshake, he has knowledge of the S nonce, the A nonce, the AP MAC, and the client MAC. Using that, he ends up deriving some PTK. Note, till now he does not know whether this PTK or the pairwise transient key is the actual PTK being used for the given session. How would he know that? Well, very simply, if you remember, in the four-way handshake, we also had the MIC, which is some sort of a signature you end up deriving for the whole packet using the PTK. So all he does is, using the PTK, he reconstructs the MIC and verifies that with the one in the packet. If it does not match, what that means is his assumption for the passphrase which he took out from his little dictionary is wrong. And then he goes about the same process over and over again by taking up more passphrases from the dictionary, right? So this is how the WPA PSK dictionary based cracking attack works. Now let's quickly do a demonstration of the same. So we have our BT4R2 machine. A lot of you have mentioned that BT5 is out. Yes, I am very aware, but I am also aware that a lot of people have complained about some problems with getting their wireless card set up and all that. To be honest, I haven't had the time yet to really download and use it. But if many of you feel you used it successfully with the Alpha card without having to waste too much time kind of working around any issues, then please post it in the comment and I'll probably set it on download sometime tonight, right? So look forward to your comments regarding BT5 and the Alpha card compatibility. Okay, so let's run our friendly aero dump on Mon0. I'm already aware the channel, the access point is on channel 1. So the AP we are going to target is actually having an ESSID D-Link and is using WPA PSK, right? So what we are going to do is, let's go ahead and store all of the packets into something prefixed with D-Link PSK, okay? Awesome. Now there are multiple ways by which you can go ahead and generate the handshake. As soon as it gets a handshake, you should see it displayed here. You could deauth an existing client. Multiple things are possible. What I am going to do, as always, is to use our friendly iPhone, right? And it's connected. And if you notice, the moment it connected, this has given you that it has discovered the WPA handshake, right? So I think we can quit this for now. So how do you crack the WPA PSK key? Well, our friend AirCrack is the best bet. However, in this case, what we are going to do is give AirCrack the PCAP file, which it can take as input. You will notice a couple of interesting parameters it requires. We have D-Link PSK.cap. I think it will cry now because it may require a dictionary file. So let's take option 1, which is D-Link WPA handshake. Right, it says specifier dictionaries file. So let me create a dictionary file. Let's say, something like QWERTY whatever, and store it in a file called dict. And let me give that dictionary file as input right now. You could give a lot of dictionary files, even the files which are there in backtrack, which you've used in previous videos. And let's take this up, and you would notice it cries and says passphrase not in dictionary. Now this is a very key aspect of WPA PSK cracking. If the passphrase is not in the dictionary, is not among one of the guesses we make, then unfortunately you will not be able to crack the key. Unlike WEP, which is very deterministic, in the sense if you have enough WEP encrypted packets, you will definitely crack the WEP key. In the case of WPA PSK, there is no such guarantee or surety. And this is where WPA PSK attack itself is based on the fact that a very weak and poorly chosen passphrase is used. If you remember, we could have chosen anywhere between 8 to 63. However, a general human being, including myself, would not want to have a passphrase which exceeds more than 10 or 15 characters. Right? If you have a 63 character WPA passphrase, I think you need an award in itself that you are able to remember something that long. So now what we are going to do is, let me go ahead and also append the actual WPA passphrase. security tube, as one would guess. And voila, the key is found, right? The master key, which is the PMK, which is derived based on this passphrase using the function which we spoke about. This is your transient key, and this is the EPOL HMAC hash, right? So this is how, by capturing a WPA handshake, it is possible to crack the passphrase if the passphrase is poorly chosen. Now, another tool which probably kind of pioneered the whole WPA PSK cracking before even Aircrack implemented it is Cowpatty, written by Josh. And this works in a similar way, where you can actually feed it a dictionary file, feed it the packet capture, and along with that you also have to feed the network ID, which is D-Link, right? And awesome, the PSK is security tube. Great. So now let's go back to the presentation, and this is how, if you have a passphrase which is based on a dictionary word and the attacker has that in his dictionary, he will be able to crack the WPA PSK encryption. Okay, so quick question. I mean, in a previous challenge we had talked about how many packets do we need to go ahead and crack the web key and things like that. Well, the same thing applies here to the handshake. So do you need all the 4 packets in the handshake to actually crack the WPA PSK key, or at least to begin cracking? Well, not necessarily, because if you kind of go look back here, the only thing we really require from the packets are these 4 quantities, which is the S nonce, A nonce, the AP MAC and the client MAC. Now, as you can imagine, the AP MAC and client MAC is actually present in all packets, right? So even with one packet, you could probably figure this out. The A nonce, which is the authenticator nonce, is present in packet 1 and packet 3. If you have any doubts about this, you should go back to the previous video, or just go ahead and store a WPA exchange and then have a look at it. We've looked at this previously in the last video. The S nonce, as one can imagine, is there in packet number 2 only, right? So the answer basically is that either you need all the 4 packets, or you could just do with packet 1 and 2, right? Or you could do with packet 2 and 3. Then this is the way by which you could go ahead and get all these 4 quantities to begin cracking the WPA PSK passphrase using a dictionary attack. Okay, so now we come to the next interesting topic. How do we decrypt WPA PSK trace files? Now, you could do it with Wireshark, and I leave that as a quick exercise to you. It's very simple. Just follow the exact same steps I've done for web, and there is a specific kind of word to prepend. If I remember, WPA-PWD. And then after that you could mention the passphrase and even have a colon and mention the SSID, right? So have a look at that. I'll just try and show you something with the command line, which is our old friend airdcap-ng, right? So with airdcap-ng, we can mention the network SSID, which is D-Link, the passphrase which we just cracked, which is security tube, and then last but not the least is the actual file, which is this, right? So if you notice, the number of decrypted WPA packets 38, and the total number of WPA packets was 55. Well, there were also other access points, so maybe those additional data packets are from those access points, right? And we can view this using Wireshark. Now typically this would be suffixed with the dec for decrypted, and these are all the decrypted packets based on finding the WPA PSK passphrase. right? Now, one of the things interestingly I had noted while using AirDCAP is sometimes, just sometimes, it's not able to actually decrypt the passphrases properly. Now, let me give you an example. Just before this, when I was setting everything up, I had created a file called demo232.cap, which is pretty similar to what there is. And if you notice, it says number of WPA packets is 137, but it was not able to decrypt any WPA packet. Now, just to kind of kill the suspicion, what I would actually do is, I mean, I know what you're thinking. You're already thinking probably we don't have all the enough number of packets in there. All the handshake packets are not there and all of that. So just to kill that suspicion a little bit, without having to open our heavy duty friend Wireshark, you will notice that I was able to crack it with Copati and as well with AirCrackNG. Right? Let me just kind of do this very quickly. Okay, here we go, right? And D-Link is 7. And if you notice, we were able to crack, but when I'm using AirDCAP-NG, I'm unable to decrypt the WPA packets. Now, I don't know why there is a confusion, because there is only one access point with the ESSID D-Link, but interestingly what I saw was that when I also mentioned the BSSID as input, we're going to quickly check what that option is. I think -B. So when I also mention -B, right, interestingly it's able to decrypt the WPA packets, right? Probably some small bug. Someone from the AirDCAP team or someone probably familiar with their forums is watching, please post it. I'll also try and get in touch with them to inform them about this, right? Or probably it may be mandatory to also use the -B, though AirDCAP-NG is not really prompting for that. And now we can actually look at these decrypted packets, right? Okay, this is like, sorry, I think I opened the original packet trace. To open the -dec packets. Right, and if you notice, now I'm able to decrypt all of this. Right, so probably a small bug, but just keep that in mind. You may, if AirDCAP-NG does not crack it by just going ahead and mentioning the ESSID, also use the BSSID. Okay, coming back to our presentation, I guess that brings us to the end of part 22. Just a quick correction. I think the last video should have been part 21. I probably made a mistake. I've corrected that. There's no videos in between. So love to hear your feedback. Please keep the comments coming. And in the next video, we will look at WPA2 PSK cracking. Of course, understanding the whole concept as well. Now, many of you who are probably wondering, well, what about all the encryption, the TKIP, the whole key hierarchy, AES, CCMP, blah, blah, blah. Well, be patient. Everything is going to come. It'll just take a little bit of time, because I can tell you the most difficult thing is not to read a new topic and probably start creating, little demonstrations. The most difficult thing is to teach someone properly. And I'm experiencing that, because when I try to put the slides, I try to visualize that, the person sitting in front of me is a student and probably has never heard about the topic. That's a good assumption to make. And how do I present it to him? So, and this is the reason why I'm slowly bringing up the level where, in the beginning, if I just start up with TKIP, what are the different key hierarchies and all of that, I'm sure you'll stop watching this mega primer, right? So anyway, that's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Looking forward to your comments and look forward to hearing back from you.